Welcome to the Business Over Beer Happy Hour, a daily dose of support for business owners, entrepreneurs, and people passionate about what they do. Hosted by Ben Surratt, Jonathan Kaler, and Jason Knope, it's time to grab a beer, enjoy some cheer, and join together.
Knope, are you there?
All right. Well, when he figures out how to turn the mute button off, he will join us. Thank you all for taking the time. This is fantastic. This is our first live virtual happy hour, business over beer. As most of you know, I mean, we're committed to trying to support small businesses. We want to make a difference in the small business community, especially here in Portland, Vancouver area. But we know what a challenge that the current coronavirus has created for all of us. And we all have similar issues, but we're also experiencing unique issues depending on the industry that we're in. And it says a lot to me that you all are here with us because you want to support each other. You guys want to learn about how to cope and how to support each other and also try to find ways to innovate. I saw something yesterday from Gary Vaynerchuk, and I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with Gary V. And one of the things that Gary said was, you have to be patient because we're all going through this. It's all brand new, and you have to be patient with the situation and don't overreact. He said you have to have perspective, right? We have our health, or business is still running, or we still have our families and we still have our homes, and make sure you have the perspective of what's around you that is positive, and try not to be negative. Try to keep that positive perspective when you can. And then the last and most important thing that he said was he challenges people then to innovate. These times cause us all to think differently. I mean, this is why we're here on this live streaming platform, because we're having to do things differently. We can't do live interviews the way our format has been set up and to be comfortable in a way that we've gotten for so long. So challenge yourself to innovate, to think about your business differently. How can you still continue to try to be successful under the current situation? So first and foremost, just thank you all for being here. This is the happy hour. It's meant to be happy and positive and to be interactive. And we're supposed to be drinking and having a good time. So the one thing that we want to do in all these happy hours is we want to highlight a local beer and a local brewery, because as you all know, craft beer and the craft beer industry is really important to us at Business Over Beer. So Ben, I'm going to start with you. What are you drinking, my friend?
All right. Thank you for the introduction, Jonathan. You are on point. Everything you said, boom. I am drinking a Modern Times Proxima Hazy, and I got that at Final Draft Tap House. And as everybody know where Final Draft is, well, it's going to be in the show notes. Now, they have new hours. They're open from 3 to 8 p.m. for to-go beers. But their selection is always on point. And I can't wait to tap into this Modern Times because I haven't had their hazy. I have not had this one. So when I saw it, I had to get it.
Crack it open.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think I've had the Modern Times Hazy either. They're a fantastic brewery.
Yeah.
And I'm jealous that I'm not there with you to drink that, because that sounds delicious.
It smells like a grapefruit field. And it tastes like love.
You already took a drink. You didn't even bother to raise a glass.
Sorry. I'll raise a glass.
Let's raise a glass. Prost, everyone. Thank you again for being here. Cheers.
Prost.
Knope, what are you drinking? Perfect. Just the way we like to know.
Jonathan, what are you drinking?
You bastard!
All my
Can you hear me now?
All my dreams
there he
have
is.
come true. Ah, there he is.
Well,
I am drinking the New Belgian brewery, their triple Belgian style ale. New Belgium
Ooh.
is out of Fort Collins, Colorado. I kind of grew up with New Belgium. Fat Tire, their amber ale was one of the first beers that I drank a lot of after I had my beer awakening. So I love New Belgian brewery out of Fort Collins, and it's a fantastic Belgian style triple. What about you, Canope? What are you drinking tonight?
well, I took my trusty little styrofoam cooler downtown Vancouver with me, and I picked up some a promiscuous blonde from Heathen Brewing.
Whoa.
Outstanding. And
How is
we
it?
would be remiss if we didn't mention the fact that we have a fantastic guest joining us for happy hour today. Canope, who's our guest today?
Our guest is Jamie Young of Jamie Young Swag and Strategy.
Jamie, thank you so much for joining us on the Bob Happy Hour.
Absolutely. I'm excited to be here and drink beer with you guys.
And remind everybody what you're drinking.
I'm drinking Reuben's Brews out of Seattle, Hazelicious, and it's delicious.
It is a Hazelicious beer. Well,
Hazelicious.
Jamie, one of the reasons that I wanted to have you on, other than the fact that you're a fantastic businesswoman, and you're obviously a friend of the show. You were on our podcast. You were interviewed on our podcast, and your episode is upcoming in just a few weeks. But you were deeply affected by what's going on, and I just thought it was really important to give you an opportunity to tell your story, because you are one of the primary coordinators for the Portland Women's Expo, which is such a great event every year down at the Portland Convention Center. And, I believe that, when things get canceled, I think oftentimes we think of the ticket holders as being the ones who lose out, but we forget about the event coordinators who spend such a long time getting these events together. We forget about the exhibitors and the small businesses who have sank huge amounts of marketing dollars into events like this. And the trickle-down effect to these small businesses when an event like this gets canceled is really far-reaching. So I just want to put that out there to sort of set the backdrop, but I'm hoping you can shed a little bit more color onto sort of just kind of share with us that experience, as hard as that may be, and kind of talk about the impact to your business, kind of what you went through, and then the impact to the small business community as a result.
Yeah, absolutely. So the Portland Women's Expo event itself has been ongoing for almost 30 years. I'm working on my 8th event with them currently. I'm their events director. There is a team of 2, the owner and myself, and then we have some part-time admin help that comes in a couple months a year, kind of like the 3 months leading into the show. And so our vendors have been amazing through this process. I will tell you that most of them have invested thousands of dollars. A great portion of them made their commitment to this show that was supposed to be on March 14th, almost 16 months ago. So this is not an event that comes together quickly. It takes a solid year to map out the logistics and line up vendors and line up sponsors. So the amount of work that goes into this one-day show is it's a heavy load. And so, we were really optimistic last week. We just kind of felt like if the community could be mindful of, only coming out if they were healthy, staying home if they felt sick. I think that we were very surprised that the ban on events 250 plus happened, although everything just happened so quickly. So, I went to a Women in Business event that was held at the Portland Art Museum on Wednesday night, promoting the event, getting women to come, We just spent all day in the office getting things together for swag bags. And then I wake up Thursday morning around 5:30 and my phone was blown up with messages. And the first thing that I did is I turned on the news and I saw that all the events were banned. And I just had that moment of numbness. Like my face was numb. I had no emotion because I was just in shock. You know, what do you do? I'm supposed to be showing up on Thursday to pack up our office and move into the convention center. And I showed up to the office and it was, what do we do? How do we move forward? And it was tough. So our vendors themselves, the phones weren't ringing from them because we notified them right away. Most of our messages were from attendees who, you know, wanted refunds. You know, we bought a ticket, we paid $3, we paid $6, we want a refund. And that was tough because we don't sell tickets. We hire ticket resellers to sell tickets, or we contract out to them. And so, you know, trying to get in line with Eventbrite and Groupon and Ticket Tomato to see how can these consumers get a refund, or can they push their ticket off to use at the next event once it is rescheduled. And so that's a lot of what was going down. And I will tell you, some of the attendees weren't so nice, and I really wasn't expecting that. I really thought through such a unplanned situation that they would be more understanding. And I'm just being very honest. I was surprised. And of course, it's the negative Nancy's that do speak up. There's probably far more people that were okay with it, but they weren't the ones raising their hands and they weren't the ones calling in. So that was setup day. You know, that was the day of, well, that wasn't setup day. That was the day before setup day. So,
right.
That was kind of that moment.
Hey, Jamie.
I got a phone. Yeah, go ahead.
How many people usually go through, just to give everybody an idea, how many people usually go through the entire event?
Yeah.
Like total.
Like
how many people usually?
Yeah.
Attendance, yeah.
Like 8,000 to 10,000 women attend in a one-day event with about 300 vendors. It's pretty incredible. I mean, it's Disneyland for women. I got a phone call in the midst of just trying to dig through emails on Thursday. I got a phone call from Dill Ward, and I don't know if you know who she is. She is the founder and creator of Women with Moxie. She also owns a very successful real estate company. I believe it's Dill Ward Real Estate, Urban. Yeah, I think it actually has another name. Anyways, she reached out to me, and that conversation was exactly what I needed in that moment. And she basically was there to say, I'm just so sorry that your event was canceled. I want to be a cheerleader for you, and how can I support you? I also want you to take this moment to support others also. And it was just a reminder that there are people that care and that want to show up any way that they can. In that moment, I had a lot of heaviness on my heart because Monday morning, we were supposed to launch 2021 registration. It was supposed to be super exciting and launch it to the market. I had people on a wait list to get their spot for the next year. And I said, Dill, when is it the right time to do that? I want to respect the communities. I want to respect the time on what's going on. When is it appropriate? When is it not appropriate? Because I felt like personally, I need to move forward quickly. So when something like with everything that's going on right now, if I sit and I watch the news, I'm going to continue to shrink and shrink and shrink, and it's going to emotionally bring me down. So I needed to be able to move forward. And she said, in that scenario, to show up and be a leader for your community. and to not just sit back and let everything fall by the wayside, but to show up and be a leader. So we will be launching 2021 registration very soon. And that is once our vendors decide, because we've given them the option to use a credit towards our rescheduled date of September 19th. And we now have a biannual event. So we will produce our show September 19th and also April 3rd. Moving forward, we have 2 shows a year. So that's kind of the exciting thing that comes out of this is we've always wanted a biannual show, a spring showcase and a fall showcase, and it's happening. So once our vendors decide which show they want to do, that is going to create some inventory. Because I've got a lot of phone calls in this last few days from businesses that want to spawn at our show, even after we close down.
So she told you to be a leader in the community and not to let it get you down. And I think that is probably a feeling that a lot of us have had. I mean, I think we probably have these feelings of, it's almost grief, right? It's almost these feelings of loss that you go through. And I know I've experienced some of that, and certainly others have. Not necessarily just from a business standpoint, but from all of the cancellations, whether it be from, businesses to sports to schools, things like that. I think we're all having this feeling of loss. So what does that mean to you? How are you, other than taking 2021, your 2021 show kind of, by the horns and making that happen, what other ways are you trying to support your community and be a leader during this very difficult time?
Yeah. So one thing that I'm working on the details and logistics to actually do is I want to put together, it's not going to be a podcast, but it's going to be like a virtual vendor spotlight between now and September, where it would be, maybe it's on Zoom, it would be virtual. That way, some vendors that could sell product could sell it virtually through like a live shopping party. And this would be with our vendors. We have got just a huge following. We've got a lot of eyeballs based on the amount of advertising dollars we just spent. So to be able to highlight them. Now, some businesses don't have product to sell, so it would be like an interview style scenario. But last Friday, when I was supposed to be setting up at the Women's Expo and I was stuck at home on Facebook, like being slightly down, I stumbled across a virtual shopping party. And like women were literally like, this lady was showing necklaces and this lady was like, I want number 2. And she's like selling jewelry off a live on Facebook. I bought a necklace myself. And that got me thinking, is that's how we can, with these 300 vendors, highlight them virtually between now and the event to build awareness and business to them, also bring business to them. So that's kind of one way I want to give back. I mean, this is, only because we have the audience. I mean, this isn't anything that anyone's going to pay for. So that's one way for sure.
That's incredible. I mean, that's that I was just talking about, that innovate, right? A way for you to look at the business differently. And that's something that, under the normal course of business, that's probably not a bad strategy anyway, to do these types of vendor spotlights and try to support them to sell. So all of a sudden you kind of got this new way of looking at how to generate business for your vendors, which is probably a good thing to do even during times of normalcy anyway. So that's awesome. I love hearing that.
We had the conversation of doing this before, so I just feel like the timing is right to actually execute it.
Sure.
Have you talked, Jamie, have you talked to some of the vendors, and what sorts of things are you hearing from them just at a business level that is a common theme besides the obvious, like we don't know what to do or we're lost, but what other things are they telling you if you've talked to them?
I'll be super honest, is our vendors are so chill. Like, we sent out the email on Monday about the new scheduled date and the 2 options they can choose from. And they simply just said, I want September. or I want April. There just really hasn't been any complaints. I've had one request for a refund, and then one vendor said that the date won't work. So, we're working with them on a case by case basis, but for the most part, they're just really excited to participate. I personally, my business had a vendor booth set up for April 2nd. And when I got the email that they were rescheduling it, not once did I think about calling and canceling. Like, my commitment to participate in that event originally, I knew was to build my business and gain an ROI. So why would I back out of it? And so that's why I'm thinking, since I understand both sides of the table, I'm on both sides of the table. These vendors are really just excited for the event to happen. They just want to know when it's happening so they can be prepared.
Got it. One more question, and I'll have Canope ask a question. So when this is all said and done, and we're going back to reality, I guess, back to the way things were, what are you trying to learn from this to maybe better your business when this is all done?
I'm actually seeing a huge trend across the board right now, and it's this virtual evolution that's happening. And it's a big shift to realize that there's so much that we can do virtually. Look what we're doing right now. Look how people are being able to move their business virtually. I work virtually most of the time. I will tell you that commuting alone, just back and forth to appointments, wastes a ton of time. So if people can thrive through this virtual evolution, I think that we're going to see more efficiency come from this.
Awesome. Canope, are you there or not?
Canope is having issues with the app again.
Okay. Okay. Well, back to you, Jonathan.
Well, we've got just a few more minutes. So if anybody who is listening, if any of the listeners would like to ask Jamie or any of us a question, please feel free to input that in there, and we'll be happy to try to answer it. Emily had a question. Jamie, Emily was a little bit late. Could you remind Emily what beer you're drinking?
Emily, I'm drinking Reuben's Brews out of Seattle, Hazelicious, and it is delicious.
It's important that we cover the most important aspect of the happy hour.
That's right. Emily, what are you drinking?
Yeah, Emily, let us know what you're drinking. The other thing that we want to do is we want to try to start to curate a set of resources for small businesses, for employees out of work, for families, for children, things like that. Jamie, and I would throw this out to everybody. If you have any resources, anybody who's listening, have any resources like that you would like to share that we can help to curate and promote through this podcast, through our website, we would be happy to do that. Jamie, specifically to you, since you have a microphone, are there any resources that you're aware of to help the business community or to help families? Anything that you've come across that you'd want to share?
I think, honestly, two things. Number one, I think people aren't so great at asking for what they need. And so I think raising your hand when you're in need, whether that be to your personal community or your professional community, people want to help. People aren't so great at asking. And secondly, Brandon Sanders over at Banner Bank mentioned today that the SBA is offering some relief. So I can send that over if you want to put that in your show notes, but they do have something set up to help small business owners.
Outstanding.
That'd be awesome. Another thing that I didn't think of is as business owners, kind of how would you recommend, and I'll ask this to everybody out there, how do you recommend letting your clients know what you tend to do during this time? Should you let your clients know what you intend? Do you need to be elaborate about it? Do you do you just kind of say, we're going to follow it, and when we back up in business, we'll let you know? Like, what's the right protocol and how to let your clients know how you intend to do business? And I'll leave it up as a generic question for everybody to answer. But Jamie, since like Jonathan said, you're on the line, what's your answer to that question?
A human answer.
Okay.
Just be transparent. I think that people respect that, right where you're at. Just kind of let them know where your business is, how you can serve. If your hours have been reduced, I'm working from home. Daycare's closed. And I will tell you, it's not easy to work with a 2-year-old. Thank goodness my mother-in-law can come watch her for half days, but my workload hasn't decreased. It is exactly the same. So to just be transparent, if you're only able to work from 11 to 4 or 11 to 3, put your vacation responder on, because people then know how to respect your boundaries. So make sure to set your boundaries.
Great. Love it. Yep. Bill says, let them know by email, social, etc. And that's
There's
for
a
their
lot of
benefit.
people online right now. Just everybody is virtual. So it's a great opportunity to also partner up and team up with your best referral partners, host some lives, host some webinars, and support the community, because right now they're looking for a social distraction from the news.
Yeah.
So when we're in this business community, we're seeking this type of knowledge. So that's why we have such a great following tonight, because this is our community that's joining us this evening.
Yes, you're correct.
Yeah, a couple of other points. Communication obviously is really important. That's what Emily says, and then Bill kind of continuing with his thought that he's supporting the elderly and caregivers, which is, such an important part of what's going on with the broader landscape, and so just being authentic and understanding their vulnerabilities, just like Bill says, is so important. I read a couple different things that kind of said the same thing, that, it's not business as usual. And for a business person, a salesperson, somebody to think in terms of business as usual, or try to sell their services, or to try to go about conducting business in a normal manner is really short-sighted. I think about Jay Baer and utility. If you haven't read that book, I highly recommend it. It's YOUTILITY, utility. And Jay Baer says it's all about focusing on the other person. In his case, it's about the customer, but in our case, it's focusing all about your fellow business owners, focusing all about your customers, focusing all about vulnerable people in the community. How can we reach out, and how can we help each other? And in doing that, you'll ultimately help yourself, right? Rising tide lifts all ships, the old sort of trite cliche. But I think that's a really important point, though. It's not business as usual. So really focus outward. This is a time to focus outward on others. And it might be just as simple as putting your arm around somebody and giving them a hug and telling them that you're here for them. And that's what I heard you say earlier, Jamie, when you were feeling bad and you had a heavy heart, and somebody that you respected just put their arm around you and said, "Hey, try to get through this, and we're all in this together, and it's going to be okay." Sometimes that's all it takes. And so being compassionate and being empathetic for the people that we come in contact with is really important.
Yep. And I'm just going to add one more thing, and then we can do whatever, but kind of hit on what both you and Jamie said is, this is why we became business owners. We became entrepreneurs, because we like to think outside the box. And this is our chance to think outside the box. And I know it's like probably not the worst. It's probably not the best circumstances to think outside the box, but it's time now to to understand why you're doing what you're doing. If you have a mission statement, go back to it, look at it, and remember that it's about the community and everybody. And we're here to help everyone. Small businesses are just our neighbors. Everybody is being impacted. So, that's all I got to say about that. Like Forrest Gump always says.
I just want to thank you guys for this opportunity. Only being a small business owner myself for 2 years and having a professional network of friends and a personal network of friends. My network of friends who are not in business don't understand the struggles and the fears that I have. And so being able to be in this type of community to share this with people that are feeling it also, it's just really refreshing. So I just want to thank you guys for what you're doing and highlighting us.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah,
thank you, Jamie.
You're very welcome. I mean, this is why we started this, was to highlight the small business community, to support small business owners and entrepreneurs, and to tell stories. And stories are going to be an important part of coming out of this. And so hopefully we can continue to do that, and hopefully we can all kind of get through this thing together. So, prost to everyone. We are so thankful for those of you that took time out of your day to have a drink with us, and hopefully this was beneficial. Jamie, thank you so much for the time. If you have any feedback for us, please let us know. We can be reached at team at bizoverbeer.com. We're going to be publishing these recordings through our regular podcast channel, so be on the lookout for those. But we're just so appreciative of this community and of all of you small business owners taking the time to share with us. And we're just going to take it one day at a time, and we'll do it again tomorrow.
Amen to that, brother.
Ben, who do we have tomorrow?
Who do we have tomorrow? Oh, we have Mike. You have Mike?
Yeah. Michael Perozzo will be our guest tomorrow from Zeppelin Marketing. For those of you that don't know Mike, Mike does the marketing for a large number of the breweries around town, and he's gonna talk about the breweries and talk about the cancellation of the Vancouver Brew Fest and the impact of not just to small businesses, but also to the charitable organizations that are missing out as a result of that. So please, 5:00 p.m. Pacific time again tomorrow. We hope to see all of you here.
And
we will see all of you.
Ask Michael tomorrow where he got his swag recently. Ask him who did his pens and his notepads.
Hey.
I mean, I don't know, but I know who did his swag.
Awesome. Jamie, thank you again.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Later.
Good night, everyone.
Business Over Beer reminds you to always drink responsibly. Our theme song is Alley Cat by Soul Shifters. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you at the next Business Over Beer Happy Hour.